The mark of erasure on the human's neck was glowing bright blue, and Zilax's crystalline hands trembled as he checked his scanner for the 15th time in as many seconds. This is impossible. The marked don't activate. They can't activate. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, Emma Rodriguez stood in the center of the Galactic Evaluation Council chamber, one hand absently touching the burning symbol on her neck. Is it just me, or did someone turn up the heat in here? This thing's been itchy all morning, but now it actually feels hot. Evacuate the observation deck, Council Member Keldra's voice boomed across the chamber, 3 of her 6 arms gesturing frantically at the viewing gallery. If the mark is active, we have no protocols for— With respect, Council Member, Zilax interrupted, his voice pitched high with panic. We have no protocols, because this has never happened in 10,000 years of galactic record-keeping. Beings who receive the Mark of Erasure are powerless. It's not a theory, it's measurable fact. Emma looked between the 2 aliens, then down at her casual research station jumpsuit. Okay, can someone explain what's happening? You guys slapped this tattoo on me 3 days ago after I failed all your tests, told me I'd be restricted to supervised sectors, and now you're acting like I'm about to explode. The mark doesn't glow, Zilax said, pulling up holographic displays that showed thousands of marked individuals across the galaxy, all with dull gray symbols on their skin. It's inert, a identifier, a warning to others that the bearer has no detectable power signature, no psychic capability, no energy manipulation potential. You tested negative on every single evaluation metric we have. Yeah, I remember, Emma shrugged. No telekinesis, no telepathy. Can't shoot lasers from my eyes. Pretty standard for a human. We're basically the galactic equivalent of participation trophy recipients. The mark on her neck pulsed brighter. It's responding to her statements, Kaeldra breathed, her translator barely keeping up with her rapid speech. Zilax, what's the energy output? Zilax's scanner emitted a distressed chirp. The device can't establish a baseline. Every reading contradicts the previous one. It's showing 0 power signature while simultaneously detecting energy fluctuations that should require conscious manipulation. I don't feel any different, Emma said, scratching at the mark again. Maybe it's just a rash? You guys did say the application process was experimental for human physiology. Jotaro materialized in the chamber, literally, his energy-based form coalescing from ambient light into a vaguely humanoid shape. The senior arbiter's arrival sent every other council member into immediate attention. I was reviewing security feeds from my station when the alert went out. Please tell me this is a sensor malfunction. Senior Arbiter, Kaeldra began, we are attempting to determine. The mark on human subject Emma Rodriguez, designated Powerless 3 standard days ago, is currently emitting a Class 7 energy signature, Jotaro stated, his form flickering as he processed information at speeds that would crash most organic brains. Correction, Class 8. Correction, Class 9. The output is escalating in direct correlation with the subject's stress levels. Emma's eyes widened. My stress levels? You mean the more freaked out I get about this weird glowing thing on my neck, the more it glows? That would be consistent with a reactive power source, Zilax muttered, frantically cross-referencing databases. But reactive power sources require an initial energy reserve to draw from, and she tested at 0 across all spectrums. 0 psychic potential, 0 ambient energy manipulation, 0 biological power generation beyond standard metabolic function. Which is already abnormal, Kaeldra interjected. Human metabolic function operates at energy levels that should cause cellular breakdown in most species. Right, but that's just chemistry, Emma said. ATP synthesis, glucose metabolism, nothing crazy. We just run hot. The mark flared again, brighter than before. Several council members flinched backward. Retest her, Kaldra commanded, her voice tight. Full spectrum analysis. Maybe we miscalibrated for human physiology the first time. Council member, the Mark of Erasure is only applied after triple verification of powerlessness, Zilax protested. The procedure is specifically designed to prevent false negatives. If there was any detectable power, the Mark would have rejected integration during application. Then explain the glowing, evaluator. Zilax couldn't. Emma found herself ushered into a testing bay she'd visited 3 days prior. The same sterile white room, the same scanning arrays mounted on the walls, the same uncomfortable chair in the center. You know, she said, accepting a cup of water from a nervous technician, I just wanted to study xenobiology, learn about alien immune systems, maybe publish a few papers. Instead, I get branded with a cosmic loser stamp that's apparently defective. The Mark of Erasure is not a value judgment, Jotaro said, though his flickering suggested he didn't entirely believe his own words. It is a safety measure. Species without power signatures are restricted from certain sectors to prevent accidental harm. Uh-huh. Sure, Emma took a sip of water. That's why everyone stares at it and whispers when I walk by. Vexthul entered the testing bay, his insectoid form clicking against the floor. The Mark expert's compound eyes fixed on Emma with unsettling intensity. Subject will remain still. Scanning commences now. The arrays hummed to life. Emma sat quietly, watching lights dance across her skin as various sensors attempted to quantify her existence. The mark on her neck continued its steady blue glow. Psychic potential. 0, Vexthul announced, mandibles clicking with each word. Energy manipulation capability. 0. Biological power generation beyond baseline. 0. All readings identical to initial evaluation. But the mark is glowing, Kaldra pressed. Affirmative. Mark displays active energy signature of increasing intensity. Current classification, Class 10. This reading is inconsistent with subject's measured capabilities. Emma raised her hand. Quick question. Has anyone considered that maybe your tests just don't work on humans? Every alien in the room turned to stare at her. I mean, she continued, setting down her water, you keep saying I have 0 power, but this thing, she gestured at her neck, clearly disagrees. Maybe the issue isn't me. Maybe your equipment is looking for the wrong thing. Zilax's crystalline form flickered with agitation. Our power detection systems have been refined over millennia. They identify energy manipulation across 17 different dimensional frequencies, psychic resonance patterns in 43 distinct categories, and biological power generation through. The scanning array nearest Emma exploded in a shower of sparks. Through methods that apparently don't include whatever just happened, Emma finished, jerking away from the smoking equipment. Sorry, I didn't touch anything, I swear. Vexthul approached the damaged scanner with scientific fascination. Impossible. Device experienced catastrophic overload. Power surge originated from... He turned his compound eyes back to Emma. From subject. I was just sitting here. The mark is rewriting itself, Vexthul announced, pulling out a specialized imager that projected the symbol on Emma's neck into 3-dimensional space. Where before it had been a simple circular brand with standard glyphs, now new lines were appearing, forming patterns that seemed to shift when viewed directly. Emma touched her neck, feeling heat pulse beneath her fingers. That doesn't sound good. Contact other human subjects bearing the mark, Jotaro ordered. Immediately. Zilax worked his console with jerky movements. 23 humans currently marked on station, initiating communication. A pause. Senior Arbiter. All 23 report identical symptoms. Marks began showing unusual warmth approximately 48 hours ago. Several describe itching. 2 report visible glow that they attributed to station lighting. It's not just me? Emma felt a strange mixture of relief and concern. That's Actually worse, isn't it? The testing bay doors burst open. A human man in maintenance coveralls stumbled in, one hand clutching the mark on his forearm. Sorry to interrupt, but my tattoo is freaking out and someone said there was an emergency meeting? He noticed Emma. Oh, thank God, yours is doing it too. I thought I was having an allergic reaction to that weird lunch special. Michael Chen, maintenance technician, Zilax identified, pulling up records. Marked 4 days ago. Tested. Powerless across all metrics. Michael's mark pulsed in sync with Emma's. Then every light on the station flickered. The power core, Jotaro said, his energy form briefly destabilizing. It's synchronizing with the marks. The isolation field generators hummed to life, surrounding Emma in a translucent barrier designed to suppress all known forms of power manipulation. Standard procedure, Jotaro explained, his tone apologetic. The field will prevent any energy release while we determine what's happening. You won't feel anything. Emma watched the shimmering walls with academic interest. This is actually pretty cool. Is this how you contain psychic species during evaluation? Among other applications. Jotaro nodded to Vexthul. Proceed with analysis. The mark expert approached the field barrier with his imager. Subject remains within standard power suppression field. Mark should become dormant if energy source is external to subject's biology. Beginning observation. In 3, 2, 1. The isolation field collapsed like a popped bubble. Every alien in the observation deck stumbled backward. Jotaro's energy form scattered and reformed twice in rapid succession. What just happened? The field generators are offline, Vexthul reported, voice flat with shock. Complete systems failure across all 6 units. Backup systems also non-responsive. Emma looked around at the absent barrier. Was something supposed to happen? I didn't feel anything. You should have been contained, Zilax said, his voice barely above a whisper. The isolation field operates on principles that transcend conventional physics. It doesn't fail. It can't fail. Well, it just did, Kyldra observed. Jotaro, we need to escalate this to high command. If humans can unconsciously bypass our most fundamental containment systems. Let me review the initial evaluation data, Jotaro interrupted. He projected Earth's assessment files into the air, thousands of pages of analysis from humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. Humans tested as psychically null, no telepathy, no telekinesis, no energy manipulation, physically average strength relative to body mass, standard carbon-based biology, nothing exceptional, technology level, derivative but functional. Overall classification, Category 5, limited integration potential. Emma laughed. She couldn't help it. The sound echoed through the suddenly quiet observation deck. Limited integration potential. Yeah, that sounds like us. We're great at being aggressively mediocre. The mark on her neck burned brighter with each word. Your vital signs, Vexthul said, examining his scanner with increasing agitation. Heart rate, 170 beats per minute. Blood pressure, approaching lethal ranges for standard humanoid physiology. Core temperature, elevated to fever levels. You should be incapacitated. I'm just a little nervous, Emma admitted. All this attention is kind of overwhelming. I'm used to working in a lab, not being studied like a specimen. A little nervous, Kyldra repeated. She accessed her own data terminal. Human emotional responses generate physiological changes that would require conscious energy manipulation in most species. Your body is producing hormones at rates that should require external power sources to synthesize. That's just adrenaline, Emma protested. Basic fight or flight response. Every species with a nervous system has something similar. Not at these efficiency levels, Jotaro said quietly. Emma Rodriguez. I need you to understand something, The reason humans were marked as powerless isn't because you lack capabilities. It's because your capabilities don't register on our instruments as power. They register as normal biological function. Emma blinked. I'm not following. The Mark of Erasure, Kaeldra said, her voice taking on a lecturing tone, was developed 10,000 years ago during the first convergence. Species across the galaxy were developing powers, psionics, energy manipulation, matter control. The convergence wars killed billions before we learned to classify and contain emerging power sets. The Mark was designed to identify those without power, to protect them and others. But the Mark doesn't suppress power, Vexthul added, his mandibles clicking rapidly. It reveals what we don't understand. It's a diagnostic tool as much as an identifier. Zilax's crystalline form brightened with sudden realization. The Mark tries to categorize the bearer's baseline existence. For species we understand, it remains inert because we've already classified their capabilities. But for species whose power operates outside our measurement systems, it activates, Jotaro finished, because it's attempting to process something it wasn't designed to recognize. Emma touched her neck again, feeling new symbols forming beneath her fingertips. So you're saying this thing is, what, trying to figure out what I am? More than that. Vexthul projected a magnified image of her mark into the air, where before there had been standard glyphs marking her as powerless. Now the symbols read differently. Translation. Warning. Restriction. Limiter. Quarantine protocol active. Quarantine, Emma repeated. You quarantined me? Not intentionally, Jotaro said. The Mark's autonomous systems detected an unknown power signature and implemented containment procedures automatically. It's been trying to suppress your capabilities since application. Emma's heart rate spiked. Vexthul's scanner shrieked in alarm, and every electrical system within 50 meters fluctuated in rhythm with her pulse. It's not working very well, she observed. Access the historical database, Jotaro commanded, his energy form now pulsing in time with Emma's mark. Every species ever classified with the Mark of Erasure, cross-reference with their current galactic status. Zilax worked frantically. Data streams filled the observation deck, thousands upon thousands of species records spanning 10 millennia, filtering for marked species. Results: 417 distinct species marked as powerless during initial evaluation. How many are now extinct or confined to their home systems? Kaeldra asked. Calculating. Zilax's crystalline form dimmed. None. 0. Silence filled the observation deck. That can't be correct, Vexthul said. Statistical probability alone suggests 0, Zilax repeated. Of 417 species initially marked as powerless, 312 are now classified as Category 1 or 2, dominant forces in their regions. 78 are Category 3, major players in galactic affairs. 27 remain Category 4 or 5, but have demonstrated unexpected capabilities post-marking. Jotaro's form flickered rapidly, the energy being equivalent of heavy breathing. The Mark of Erasure isn't identifying the powerless, it's identifying species whose power we can't measure yet. A quarantine protocol, Kaeldra said slowly, to contain emerging threats until we understand them. But I'm not a threat, Emma protested. I'm a graduate student. My most dangerous capability is staying awake for 72 hours to finish lab work. Her mark flared. Michael's mark, visible on the monitoring system as he waited in the corridor, flared in response. Throughout the station, 23 human marks ignited simultaneously. Can someone please explain what's happening to me? Emma's voice rose with genuine frustration. Because I've been patient, I've cooperated with every test, I've accepted being branded with a mark that makes people treat me like I'm defective, and now you're telling me it's all because your systems don't know how to read humans? The observation deck's main power grid surged. Backup generators kicked in automatically as the primary systems fluctuated wildly. She's doing that, Vexthul announced unnecessarily. Emotional state correlates directly with electromagnetic disruption patterns. I'm not doing anything, Emma shouted. I'm just frustrated. Every human mark on the station erupted with brilliant blue light. Jotaro reformed himself with visible effort. Emma Rodriguez, you need to calm down. I need to calm down, Emma laughed, but there was an edge to it now. You guys marked me, marked all of us, with some ancient alien containment system, didn't tell us what it really was, and now you're surprised it's not working. Maybe the problem isn't that we're too powerful to measure. Maybe the problem is you tried to bottle something you didn't understand in the first place. The mark on her neck began to change. The symbols rearranged themselves, burning through the older patterns to create new configurations. Vexthul's imager struggled to track the transformation. It's adapting, the mark expert breathed. The mark is learning her pattern. Or she's learning the mark's pattern, Kaeldra suggested. Human adaptability is documented. They're an adaptive species on every level: biological, technological, social. What if the mark isn't failing to contain her? What if she's adapting to understand how to work with it? Emma's medical training kicked in past her frustration. Wait, you're saying this thing is like trying to bottle a virus it doesn't understand. It keeps trying different containers, different approaches, but the virus just keeps adapting around it? That's a crude but accurate analogy, Jotaro confirmed. So what happens when a virus adapts faster than containment methods? Emma asked, though from the look on her face she already knew the answer. The bottle breaks, Vexthul said quietly. Emma reached up and touched her mark consciously for the first time, not scratching an itch, not checking if it was still glowing, but actually engaging with it, feeling it, understanding it. The symbols stopped their frantic rewriting. For a moment, the mark pulsed once, twice, like a heartbeat synchronizing. Then the patterns rearranged into something entirely new, a double helix, human DNA, unmistakable and undeniable. The burning blue light faded to calm silver. Huh, Emma said, examining the new design with academic interest. So I just needed to accept it instead of freaking out? Kind of anticlimactic, honestly. The emergency broadcast went out to every Galactic Council member simultaneously. This is Senior Arbiter Jotaro. As of this moment, human classification is being revised to Category Omega, Unbound Potential. The Mark of Erasure is officially retired for use with human subjects, effective immediately. Emma sat in a council chamber, a real one this time, not an evaluation bay, surrounded by holographic representatives of a dozen species. Her mark, now a permanent silver DNA helix, gleamed under the station's lights. The mark system, Jotaro explained to the assembled counselors, was designed to identify and track species whose power capabilities fell outside our measurement standards. Over 10,000 years, we've learned to classify most emerging power sets. But humans, he gestured to Emma, humans operate on a paradigm we haven't encountered before. Their power isn't external to their biology, Vexthul added, displaying scan data for the council. It is their biology. Every metabolic function, every cellular process, every adaptation mechanism, what we considered normal human biology, is operating at energy levels that should require conscious manipulation in other species. Kaeldra leaned forward in her seat. We didn't mark humans as powerless. We tried to contain them, and they transformed our containment into something else. All marks on human subjects have now adapted, Zilax reported, showing images of the 23 other humans on station. Each mark had become unique, DNA helixes, incorporating personal symbols. One subject's mark now displays molecular structures from her chemistry research. Another shows astronomical calculations. A third has incorporated musical notation. The humans didn't just reject the mark, they made it theirs. Emma cleared her throat. If it's okay, I'd like to say something. At Jotaro's nod, she continued. Look, I get that you guys have been doing this for 10,000 years, and your systems work for almost everyone. But maybe that's the problem. You assumed that because we didn't fit your measurements, we didn't have anything to measure. You tried to contain first, understand later. And you propose? One of the holographic counselors asked. Try asking next time, Emma suggested, before you brand people with marks they don't understand. We're pretty good at explaining ourselves if someone bothers to have an actual conversation. Kaeldra's translator caught what might have been a laugh. The human is correct. We approached integration as a classification problem rather than a diplomatic one. In light of this situation, Jotaro announced, I'm offering Emma Rodriguez the position of Special Liaison for Human Integration. Your role would be to help us understand human capabilities from a human perspective and to ensure other humans receive better evaluation processes. Emma considered this. Can I finish my research paper first? It's due next week, and my professor doesn't care about galactic politics. She'll still mark me down if I'm late. The council chamber fell silent for a moment. Then Kaeldra began to laugh, a deep rumbling sound that her translator rendered as genuine amusement. Humanity's biggest representative cares more about homework deadlines than policy reform. I think we're beginning to understand human priorities. The position remains open whenever you're ready, Jotaro said, and Emma could swear his energy form conveyed something like respect. The meeting concluded. Emma returned to her quarters, a small research suite she'd been confined to since receiving the mark, and opened her laptop. The mark on her neck glowed softly, not with suppressed power trying to escape, but with something more like contentment, like it had finally figured out what it was meant to be. She pulled up her research document, 15 pages of dense analysis on adaptive immune responses in multi-species environments. Good work, if she said so herself, the kind of thing that might actually matter once humans integrated more fully into galactic society. They really should have just asked instead of branding people, she muttered, formatting her citations. Her mark pulsed once in agreement. Emma smiled and kept typing. The document's title sat at the top of the page. Adaptive Response in Undefined Systems, Why Limitation Creates Evolution. She'd submitted worse thesis proposals. Outside her window, Station Omega-7 continued its slow rotation through space. 23 other marks glowed softly in the darkness, each one unique, each one proof that humanity couldn't be contained by systems designed to measure what they already understood. The Mark of Erasure was dead. Long live the Mark of Adaptation. Emma saved her document and finally allowed herself to relax. Tomorrow, she'd deal with becoming a diplomatic liaison. Tomorrow, she'd help reshape galactic policy on human integration. Tomorrow, she'd figure out what Category Omega really meant. Tonight, she had a research paper to finish. And honestly, that felt way more important.